Alright, so for this section we'll be doing the lesson for 1.R.3, which deals with now adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so it's a little bit different from multiplying and dividing because you have to have common denominators and stuff. That's going to come into play. So you want to be able to manipulate the fractions to where you can add them together. Now again, you have calculators, so you can use your calculator as much as you need. If you can use the capabilities from that, you go right ahead and do it. The way that we're going to look at adding the fractions is first we want them to have a common denominator, so let's just make a note of that. Must have a common denominator. Okay, so if it does not have a common denominator, if denominator is not common, rewrite it using the least common denominator. Okay, and then you can add and subtract, or subtract. So let's just jump right into some of these examples. Like, let's say we have 1/10 plus 3/10. So this is addition now, it's not multiplication anymore. So you have to make sure that the denominators are the same before you can actually add anything. So these are the same, so you don't have to change any of the fraction version of this. So what we're going to do instead is, it's a little bit different from multiplying. You don't want to add across like we did for multiplying, where you just multiply the top times top, bottom times bottom. You have to do the numerators, so you're going to add the numerators. So that's going to be 4, 1 plus 3. Well, let me just show you. 1 plus 3 at the top. So first, add numerator. Okay, and then second, you want to keep the denominator. So don't add the denominator, don't do 10 plus 10, it's just going to be 10. Okay, that just stays the same thing. So really this is going to end up being 4/10. Well, the same rules apply from what we did earlier. You have to make sure it's simplified. So our last thing would have to be to simplify or reduce. Sometimes they say either one. So 4/10 both has factors of 2, so we want to divide that out. Okay, like we did a while ago. So our final answer is going to be 2/5. Okay. So now we want to look at something that won't have a common denominator. So let's say we have 1/4 plus 2/3. Okay, so obviously 4 and 3 are not the same number. So to be able to find the common denominator, one easy way to do it is to just multiply the two denominators together. But if you want the smallest one, it doesn't always give you the smallest one, but you'll still get the same idea. You just have to simplify more if you do that. So 4 times 3 is 12, so that's going to be one of their common denominators. But just to show that you can also find it by finding multiples of the numbers, like 4 multiples are going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, counted by 4s. The multiples of 3 are going to be 3, 6, 9, 12. So obviously the first one that matches, this is 9, is 12. So that's why it's going to be 12. But another way you can do it is to just multiply the denominators together to come up with it a little bit quicker. It just doesn't always give you the smallest one. So if it's asking for the least common denominator or something, it may not be the smallest one, but 12 does work out in this case either way. So that's what we're going to use as our bottom part, okay, for both of them. Well, since now we're changing them, to get from 4 to 12, you have to know what you're going to multiply by. So from 4 to 12, 4 times 3 is 12. So we multiply this times 3, meaning whatever you did to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. So 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 3 is going to be 3. Same thing here. To get from 3 to 12, we have to multiply by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, and we also have to do that to up here. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. So then you can do what we did earlier. Keep the denominator as 12 the same. 3 plus 8 is going to be 11. So our fraction is going to be 11 over 12. 11 and 12 don't have any common factors. Okay. So none of this really changes if you're subtracting either. So let's say we have something like 6 minus 1/4. Okay, well first off, it's subtraction, but the rules are still going to apply. You still need a common denominator. Well, 6 doesn't have anything under it, but remember any integer number is always understood to be over 1. Okay, so you can put that over 1. That way now we know we need to multiply these together to get their common denominator, which in this case it's easy, it would be 4, so we can change both of these into a 4. Okay, so we multiplied this times 4 to get to the 4. So if we did this times 4, we have to do the top times 4, giving us 24. This we have to do times 1, so times 1 at the top would just still be 1. That one didn't really change. You don't necessarily have to show that we multiplied any of this. It stayed the same. Now we can subtract, so the bottom, your denominator stays the same again. And then you subtract the top now. So it's subtraction, so you're doing 24 minus 1 instead of 24 plus 1. So that's the only difference with subtraction. You just make sure you subtract. So 24 minus 1 is going to be 23. There's no common factors in here, so this is already considered reduced. You don't have to change it to a mixed number. You can leave it as it is. So you can just put 23 over 4. You don't have to count how many times 4 goes into 23 and make it as a big number with a fraction. Okay, this is just fine. Okay. Let's do one more with this. So let's say we have like 3 of them. 1 over 4 plus 1 over 5 minus 1 over 10. So it doesn't matter how many you have together, you just need to find a common denominator between all of them. So either you can multiply them all together, or maybe multiply 2 of them together and see if you can multiply that other number times something to get there. Well, if we count by 4 and multiply that with 5 times, 4 times 5 is going to be 20. Well, we can also multiply 10 times something to get to 20. So that would be better than having to do 4 times 5 times 10. So in this case, we'll want to use 20 as our least common denominator. So this is one of the cases where it might be a little bit better to figure out the common denominator by looking for something that multiplies to get to each of them. So we did 4 times 5 to get to 20, so we have to do 1 times 5 at the top of this one. We did 5 times 4 to get to this 20, so same thing at the top. And we did 10 times 2 to get to this 20, so same thing at the top again. So either way, the bottom, remember, is going to stay 20. And then you just go from left to right for this. So 5 plus 4 is going to be 9. 9 minus 2 is going to be 7. So 7 over 20. Okay, so that's the gist of what's going on in that 1.R.3.